Hi, everybody. My name is Marion. I'm with Arts Infographic. I'm a business strategy consultant, and I help small businesses with their daily problems. We have consultations that we do with them to help them through difficulties that they have. I specialize in marketing, and I've worked with big brands and with large corporates, but I've also run small businesses of my own and even franchise. So I know what you're going through, and I help you through all of that. So today I've actually got Tosin with me. He's our sales manager at the company. And hey, hi. And we've known each other for a few years, hey? And he's just actually come through a 3-month mentorship program with me, learning mainly about sales and lead generation, but he's also been learning about the structuring a business and how the business works. And he got so much value from it, he decided to work with us permanently. So we have a mentorship program. It's free of charge to join. We're actually looking for mentees. So anybody who's interested in sales, lead generation, give us a shout. I'll put my details in the description below, and you can go onto our website, and there's a link directly to my email. Come straight to my desk, and let me know if you're keen to join. As I said, it's free of charge, and on top of it, you get acknowledgement over social media of any work that you do. We've got some projects that we get you involved in. You actually get to communicate with some of our clients directly, and at the end of it, you get a certificate, and that certificate you can then take to your interviews, or it can just give you a leg up when you are looking for work. And alternatively, there's also options where you can work permanently in our company as one of our sales team. So Tosin actually runs that mentorship program. He'll be working with you. Both of us will be. And yeah, it's just great to have him here today. We've got a program. Well, basically what I do is I consult clients directly. And this lesson today is a consultation that I did with one of my clients, and I felt like the work that we did was so valuable that we need to get it out there, and we need to get it onto social media and out onto YouTube. So over to you, Tosin.
Okay. Hey, Maren. Nice to have you here as well. Yes, and it's great to be here. Oh man, it's such a pleasure. And of course, I've always been looking forward to it. It's always a pleasure working with you as always. And yes, my name is Tosin, guys. It's good to be here, and also good to have you here as you'll be seeing this. All right. And as Maren rightly said already, I'll be handling the sales team for Arts Infographics. Of course, for the mentoring program as well, I'll be in charge of that. So you'll be seeing my face a lot. I hope it's a good face you'll see. All right, so yeah, and that's it. I'm also a beneficiary of Marriott's mentorship program, 3 months, and it was so, my gosh, it's beyond words. Very, very insightful and very practical. Marriott really has an understanding of how businesses works, and our passion to see businesses grow and scale is just so phenomenal. And I'm very sure, from this session, you'll all be, seeing a tip of the iceberg, just a snippet of, how Marion actually puts things together, and just, it's going to blow your mind. So expect that. Look forward to that. So Marion, back to you. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you so much, Tosin. All right, so as I mentioned, I work with large corporates. I work with C-suite executives as well as big brands, but I also work with people that are starting out and are struggling, small business owners, maybe solo entrepreneurs. So I'm going to talk on that level and just explain things step by step on what I'm doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is on Zoom. There's this lovely program here called a whiteboard. So I'm going to open a whiteboard. It usually takes a couple of minutes to load. This is a good time to have some elevator music going in the background while we're waiting it for load.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, but it's not too bad. I mean, technology is amazing. I mean, Tosin's sitting in North Africa. I'm in South Africa, and we're able to communicate live, which is great. So a lot of my clients are all over the world. I've got clients I've had in in the Middle East, in England, America. I actually do mentorship. I'm a mentee of a couple of mentors in America and the Caribbean. Yeah, we work with people from all over the world. So I'm just going to add some. So as you can see, I'm going to be using some of these tools over here. You can actually copy and paste this. So I'm just going to quickly design something here. As you can see, it actually puts together like grid lines and helps you paste it, and you can move the things around. So very simple drag and drop. And as you can see as well, it's showing arrows in between so that you've got nice distances. And so what we're going to be talking today about is different streams of income and how you should actually be setting up your streams of income so that you can generate wealth for yourself and for your businesses. It's such a valuable lesson, and I really just wanted to share it with everybody. All right, so you're probably wondering why I've got these 8 blocks over here. So I'm going to add here at the top. So T over here stands for text. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to add a text box up here. And the first thing that I'm going to add here is immediate bills. And the next one that we're going to have here is consistent bills. This one's going to have 30 days. And it doesn't matter if I've put the text box in different places, because you can actually move them around on the screen once you're done. I just want to check here. And if you make a mistake, all that you do is press Control Z or Z, Control Z, and that will undo any mistakes that you've made on this. Okay. And then the last one we're going to talk about over here is wealth generation. All right. So a lot of small business owners will have maybe 1 or 2 little businesses. And what tends to happen is they get quite tied up in operations and find themselves very quickly feeling a bit overwhelmed, but also struggling to pay their bills or struggling to make money. And there's a reason for that, and we're going to cover that a little bit more as we go along. All right, I'm actually going to put a line. So you click here to get a line, and I'm going to draw this line here between passive income and wealth generation, because wealth generation is something that you actually need to have done these other aspects, and then it becomes quite a creative exercise to figure out another plan. But you can only get to that point once you've kind of done the other blocks, right? So what I'm going to talk about here first is immediate bills. So now your immediate bills are your daily things that you need to pay for. Your groceries, your rent, your internet, and maybe fuel for your vehicle. Those kind of bills that kind of add up, but you need to cover. And one of the ways that you can do that is to have a small income generation thing. So you want to be looking at something that you can buy something at a cost on a Friday, for instance, and sell it over the weekend. And by the Monday, you've made double your money. So it would be something like selling secondhand goods, secondhand clothing that you might have. It's anything that if you had to help a youngster, a teenager, kind of generate some money. They'll maybe have some products that they sell at the market, or they open up a lemonade stand or something along those lines. So it's that quick generation of money. So I'm actually going to move this down here a little bit. I think that your screen may have frozen, Tosin, but I'm just going to carry on for now, and then hopefully it unfreezes. I've had a little bit of problems with my internet lately, so okay, he's put in the chat that he can still hear me, so he's going to be chatting in the chat, and I'm sure that everybody's going to be seeing that as we go along. All right, so I'm just going to add in here, it could be something like selling secondhand goods, maybe having a product that you sell at a market, for instance. For myself, what I like to do is I actually house sit at a friend's place recently, and because I don't have any kids or animals that I have to look after myself, and I house sit at her place, and she was so happy. She's written me a reference letter, and she's like, Marion, why don't you actually do this, just to make some extra income? And it's such a good idea. The whole idea of having something that you sell quickly and you bring in just a little bit of money is usually something that people think about if they're urgently needing money, something that they find themselves in an emergency situation, and then they look around and it's like, okay, what is it that I can sell? And sometimes what you can do is, like, if you've got a car and you feel you can sell the tires off of your car because you're not going to need your car for the next month, but you can buy tires again and you can replace it. I mean, that's a crazy example, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if you need the money, there's stuff around you that you can use or do or repackage and just have those quick wins. But very often it's seen as something that's needed in an urgent or an emergency situation. And I really would recommend that you get your mindset out of that and actually look at it as a business plan, something that you can do maybe one weekend or 1 week. So for myself, house sitting 1 week a month just brings in a bit of extra cash. It keeps you on your feet. It keeps you sort of hustling, but it also gives you a bit of a safety net. It gives you just something else, like as we all know, like when COVID hit, people were doing like these emergency things to just bring in some extra income. And if you establish that as a habit for yourself, and it kind of grows from there, and you start getting a bit of a client base, and you're kind of doing it as a side hustle, it's just a great way to just have extra money. And you can either save that money and put it into an emergency fund, or it's just extra money for maybe paying to go out to dinners or entertainment. But it's a really good habit to go into. So a lot of people kind of look down on that, thinking that's not like a real business, but it absolutely is, and it's a great habit to be in. So that's one sort of revenue income generation that I highly recommend. And even once you've expanded into multiple streams of income, to continue doing something like that. It keeps you young. It's just interesting. It could be walking dogs. It could be mowing somebody's lawn. But just bringing in that little bit of extra money. All right. So the next one that we've got here is consistent bills. So the example that I want to give here is my one, which is I do consulting. All right. I see here there's a couple of chats here. All right. Okay, so Tosin, although his screen has frozen on us for a little while, he says that he can hear me. All right, so consulting. So my consulting business is basically, this is where you would put a job. So if you have a job that's bringing in money, or a small business that is bringing in money on a regular basis, something that you've built up over time, you've got systems, you might have some staff, you've got some customers that are coming in, and that's my example of what brings in money consistently for my business is the consulting firm. So under 30 days, this is where you have a business that when you meet somebody, great, thanks, Tosin. So this is if you meet somebody, and from the point of meeting them and shaking hands with them or whatever, maybe you meet them at a networking event or you're out and about and you're talking to them about something, and it takes about 30 days from meeting them to when you actually close the deal with them. So you know, it's not an immediate win, but within a month. So it's any time between shaking hands with them to 30 days. So maybe it could be a week down the line, 2 weeks down the line, you will then do the sale. So I've got a couple of products there that I sell. I've got honey that I sell, and then I've also got spices. I do these amazing little spice mixes of different spices from around the world. We've got an amazing array of spices through Africa, but also I include Jamaican spices, some from America, from Greece, from Italy, just these blends that I make up, and then I sell that as well. And the reason why I've put that in 30 days is because it takes marketing over social media. It's people come and collect it from my studio in Johannesburg, and then also for delivery and that kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily that somebody will be interested and we do the order and they get it the next day, which would then obviously go into this section over here. So my honey and spices go into the 30 days. So you might have different products. So I have a client who sells soap, and she then goes and buys bulk products, and that's the same with my honey. I have to wait for the honey to arrive. I've also got coffee that I sell. So I wait for the coffee to arrive and then package it and then market it and speak to my clients and then get it delivered. So, okay, great. So that's some examples there. 60 days is the same kind of thing. So from the point of meeting somebody to actually closing the deal with them, this one is a longer process. So in the case of myself, I've got a lovely little business that's called Jolly Sew. And what we do is we sew custom products for clients. So we've got a number of catalogs. We've got a Christmas catalog, summer, back to school, that kind of stuff. And it's all sewing projects that aren't clothing projects that we make. So we make tablecloths, napkins, Christmas decorations, all sorts of things, like really like elegant stuff. We got stuff for weddings. We do like bulk orders. So for instance, we've got a corporate client that we do duvets and things for nursery schools and that kind of stuff. And that takes about 60 days from when, especially with our bulk orders, to go and get the fabric, you know, to quote on the project. And because our bulk orders come through corporate businesses, we have to wait for the budget approval and for payment for us to go and buy the material. And then we have a number of staff. We've got about 7 industrial machines in another studio. And then we have to then hire the staff that are going to work on the machines and to cut up the order and get it delivered and all of that. So that's something that we've got in a 60-day thing. So one of our clients, for instance, does tours around the Caribbean. And she takes high net worth individuals around the Caribbean and helps them set up like the best hotels and restaurants and yacht excursions and all of that. So she's basically a concierge for high net worth individuals that come through to the Caribbean. We have a lot of she has a lot of millionaires and billionaires that go there for their banking, and then she sets up their whole holiday experience as well as connecting them with the bankers to help them with the work that they're doing. But that is so the tours that she does is it takes longer to kind of set all of that up for them, and yeah, that would fall into a 60-day program. All right, and then under recurring income, part of art infographic, as Tosin so rightly mentioned, is I'm very passionate about growing and scaling businesses. It's such a pity that Tosin is frozen because I just love having his vibe here with us. But anyways, so part of art infographic, as Tosin mentioned, I'm so passionate about helping small businesses and entrepreneurship, and being situated in South Africa. He's still with me. That's great. Being here in South Africa, I feel that entrepreneurship is really the future and can help people in poverty that can start their own businesses, can really move quite quickly out of poverty, especially in an environment where job opportunities are very low in South Africa. So I'm keen to get entrepreneurship out there. And so I've got a partner who's actually in the Caribbean as well, and she teaches vulnerable teen girls in particular, about entrepreneurship, financial literacy, public speaking, and social media safety. And I've been involved with her program. I've been helping her put together proposals for grants and sponsorships. And we've developed, through her being my client and me helping her with her proposals and her strategies and that, we have actually formed a joint ventureship, and we're expanding that program into South Africa. I might not be focusing just on teen girls. It will be teen boys and girls. And I've got actually a lesson that I give, an hour's training and teaching them the basics of entrepreneurship and how they can create their website and their social media and do it safely and free of charge, and just in a very nice user-friendly way for young teenagers to get their small businesses up and running and start learning the basics of it. And for that, we actually approaching corporates for sponsorships, and we apply to agencies for grants to help the program. So the program in the Caribbean is quite well funded with grants and sponsorships. We obviously always looking for further things. And then what they do is their program is on YouTube, and they have live Zoom calls similar to this, where they have experts come in and train the girls on financial literacy. For instance, managers of banks come on and teach financial literacy. For public speaking, it's well-known singers in the Caribbean that come and talk about, speaking their voice and being authentic, even radio show hosts. So the quality of the speakers that come on and do the training with the girls is just phenomenal. It's such a fun program. And yeah, so for recurring income, we'd look at sponsorships, because obviously as running that and having staff and putting it together in our expansion to South Africa, that we pay salaries on that, and as the project manager, I would receive a salary from that. So that would be recurring income. But because the grants are on they're not like on a monthly basis, they happen on the calendars of the sponsors and the grants. Then it might be small amounts, it might be lump sums. It will go in with their calendars and their systems. So there's this money that comes in, and it's this recurring income, but it's not consistent. So it's not a specific amount every month. So that's why I've put it under recurring income. I'm just trying to think of what other examples people could have underneath that, but I'll think of something else there. All right. Okay, so with our cash injections, an example with cash injections, and I love this, is what's called a high ticket item. So a very good idea is, once you've had your business running for a little while, and you just imagine, if I had to sell some sort of a product to millionaires, to people, like there are so many millionaires in America at the moment, it's just growing exponentially. And if I had to sell to an American millionaire some sort of version of my service, how would I do that? What would that look like? And you really have to think like really out of the box on something like that. So creating a high ticket item. So with my connections with the Caribbean at the moment and working with the banks with the financial literacy program that we put together for the girls, we are actually looking at, and also with the lady who does the tours in the Caribbean, is we're looking at combining a whole lot of that together and putting together a high ticket item that would be selling at $250,000 to $500,000. And then that would be like a week to a week and a half's experience. 50% of that would go then to our cost of sales and the rest is profit. So that's a really high ticket market. It's becoming, very niche, looking at a very important need that high net worth individuals may have, and then designing something like that. Another thing to consider is maybe having businesses where you sell off small to small units of your business. So kind of expanding into other territories or creating sort of copycat units or having resellers, that kind of stuff. So yeah, so that's another thing you can do for high ticket item. Okay, so exactly what Tosin has said here, passive income. So passive income would be things like books and courses. So brilliant. No wonder Tosin is one of my students. He's on the ball here. So yeah, books, courses. Another thing that you could even add here is apps. Creating apps, anything that while you are sleeping, while you're busy sleeping, that it's generating some form of income for you. So exactly that, having ebooks or even being able to where people are ordering stuff from you online and are able to download it and work through that stuff. So exactly that, courses, apps. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but that's another great income generation. So now with wealth generation, so I'll give you an example of what my ultimate is, and I'm busy studying this like full time, is buying and selling businesses is what I ultimately would like to be doing as a full-time thing. And as actually I've identified that for myself a long time ago, because I've bought 5 businesses in my career so far, and I enjoy it so much. And then obviously with the franchising, I also enjoyed that so much that I'm passionate about buying and selling businesses. And a lot of businesses don't know how to evaluate their business properly. And I've been studying corporate finance and valuation. So that eventually I can have a business brokerage and I can buy and sell businesses. I'd like to do that internationally. And then obviously as my businesses grow, I'd like to be able to sell off either pieces of them or sell the whole business, or perhaps in fact have some of them as IPOs and listed on the stock exchange. So that's my ultimate way of generating wealth. And as I say, I'm very passionate about studying that right now. So even with my consulting, when I consult clients, I show them the plan of helping them from perhaps if they're solo entrepreneurs over a 10-year period, where within 10 years they're going to, so I see our meeting's going to end soon, but I'm actually near the end now. Within a 10-year period, they can go from a solo entrepreneur through being a PTY limited, and then eventually exiting, whether it's they sell their business or they franchise it off or if they say list an IPO on the stock exchange. So in that 10-year period, I have actually agreements where we can go into joint ventureships and partnerships, or I could become a director on their company, so that as their businesses grow, and they're generating more income, that I can help out with what's called sweat equity, where I can give consultations as part of my equity in the company, and I can help them grow and grow with them. And that way it also just ties in with my ambition of buying and selling businesses. So helping them to develop their business to a point where perhaps they want to sell it in the future at a profit. So yeah, so that's how I've structured my business. I hope that this helps you. I just want to actually go into the next aspect over here quickly. We've got about 10 minutes left, so I'm just going to touch on this quickly. Now, what you want to do is you'd like to expand on all of these, and this is very often where businesses tend to go wrong, is they start looking at expansion. For instance, if I had my consulting and I wanted to expand into other territories, that takes up a lot of work. It means more staff, it means more paperwork, longer hours, and all sorts of things like that. So anything when it comes to expansion and growing and scaling takes up, okay, great. So yeah, so if you want to expand and you're going to have staff and it becomes expensive, it takes up a lot of energy, it becomes quite resource heavy. And that's what a lot of small businesses do, is their business starts growing and starts generating quite a lot of money, and then they look at expanding, and they expand too quickly, and that's very often when businesses fail, is because they just don't have the capital, they don't have the things in place as safety nets for them. So my recommendation is, rather than going what's called vertically, is rather to set up these things horizontally first. And there's something called an MVP, your minimum viable product. That's your start off business. That's a really basic business that shows that your idea is viable, it is feasible. And I would recommend that you actually focus on setting up MVPs on all of these aspects first. Because basically what happens, and I'm just going to end over here. So what happens is, if you there we go. If you I'm just going to draw another one. If you set up this quick win immediate bill day that you want to have, it's a great safety net to have. And then what that allows is, once you've got, whether you've got a job or whether you've got your own business that's bringing in consistent money, you've got this little bit of extra cash that you can maybe feed into that or whatever. And then if you've got this set up, it will bring up money that you can then use to kind of grow the next business. Maybe get some staff and have somebody at a market on your behalf, so that you're at 2 markets on one Saturday selling, for instance, me selling honey or spices, or having somebody who's helping you doing your invoicing in your office, or that kind of stuff. And then the money from the 30 days is just going to cover you while you're busy doing negotiations and things like that on your 60-day business. And the same goes, for these bottom things. They feed into each other and they help each other, with the passive income obviously supporting everything, all the other ones, while you're busy sleeping. So it does this, it closes the circle almost like that. So yeah, that I would highly recommend that you focus on first starting up all of these MVPs, having these as your income streams. Again, I also wanted to mention here is, for instance, if you've got a consulting business and you do like one-on-one consultations like what I've got, and you've got something else here. Maybe you are selling books. So I'm using books here as an example because here I put here books as a passive income. But let's say the books have got to do with this consulting business that I have. It actually falls underneath this consulting job as another product line. And that's where a lot of people get it wrong, where they see that they're getting income from various product lines, and then they call that different income streams, which it is in a way what it is, but I prefer to see it as a product line that's just bringing in money in a different format under this income stream, which is consulting. And in that way, you're not tempted to expand one business and ignore the other ones. These become safety nets to each other, and it allows you to grow. It allows you to make mistakes in one, but you're covered by another. They feed into each other, and they just support you in generating wealth. If you just focus on one and grow it and expand it and grow your product lines, and that, you're putting literally all your eggs in one basket, and you are increasing your risk. And that, I mean, we saw over 2020 how that can really damage a business. And this way you spread your risk, and you're sure of having consistent money coming in as and when you need it. I also just wanted to mention, last but not least, when it came to cash injections, when you've got a business, you'll get to a point where you expand very quickly, and you're going to need more products, maybe more staff. Maybe you need a larger premises, and you have to pay a deposit before you're actually generating the income off of that premises. You might be needing to train staff, and they're not bringing in income straight away. So businesses generally need cash injections on a regular basis. And I would actually recommend that you look at a model that's going to bring in a cash injection approximately every 6 months. I can't tell you how big, but I would recommend that you try and go as big as possible. And there again, try and think of high ticket items. So for instance, our high ticket item of 250 to 500,000 American dollars, getting something like that every 6 months will really sustain some of the other products and businesses that we have and are setting up. All right, so we're kind of down to our last minute here. It's such a pity that Tosin wasn't able to participate. I love his participation. He really asks amazing questions and has got such a vibe, and it's just wonderful to have him. But thank you so much for your time and joining us on this. Yep, so we'll speak to you soon. I'm just going to close off in a minute. I'm going to grab Tosin, and we're going to just finish off with a goodbye to everybody. All right, thank you so much for your attention. I look forward to speaking to anybody who's interested in knowing more about the work that we do with our consulting and that. We're very affordable. I have one-on-one hourly consultations as well as programs that I offer. All right, thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon. Okay, well, that's the lesson for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time. I've had to condense a lot into a short time over here. But oh, hi, Tosin, good to have you back. Yeah, so I've had to condense a lot into this to this talk. But when you are a client and we have consultations, we go at your pace. Something like this, if you wanted to extend it to a couple of hours and actually go into further depth, we can do that. We have also programs where we have a structured system where we take it step by step of designing your business so that all the aspects of your business are working well. As I've mentioned, I've got a lot of background in marketing, which is obviously your lifeblood of your business, so we help you a lot with that. But I take it at your pace, and we tailor it to your situation that you have in your business. So as I said, I had to kind of put a lot of information in a short space of time, but that will just give you a kind of an idea of the kind of things that we teach. It's not the kind of stuff that you find on YouTube everywhere. And trying to simplify things and take stuff off of your plate. So getting me as a consultant on your business, the last thing I want to do is add more onto your plate. I'll be looking at how we can systemize, how we can compartmentalize and categorize things and make it work much more efficiently, but increasing your bottom line at the same time, and just taking a lot of stress and those sleepless nights off of your plate, and giving you direction, giving you roadmaps and strategies and frameworks of how you can do your things. So yeah, great to have you back, Tosin. Thank you so much for attending.
Yeah, great to be back. So I mean, I think I froze for most part of the session, but I mean, it happens. You know, I think I had a network issue from my end here, but what's important is that I'm back. And of course, again, just as Miriam shared about this, the session today, just looking at all of what what Miriam took us through, very, very interesting. And again, as I shared with you, all the being a beneficiary of the mentorship program with Miriam, the steps, the insight, the frameworks has been very insightful. It's been very practical. All right, and definitely I've started working on some of these frameworks, some of these things that I've learned from Miriam for my own personal business, and I can already see the potential of a lot of them scaling. So I, definitely, encourage that you take Miriam's word for it, or if you don't want to take Miriam's word for it, of course, take my word for it as one who has gone through the mentorship itself. So, yes, Miriam, I think we can wrap up now. Yes.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to add, if anybody wanted to join the mentorship, I'm going to put our link on the website in the description below.
Okay.
I think I mentioned that
Okay.
earlier, but if you go onto the website, you can see what it is that I do. And there's a link there that you can directly email me, and it would be interesting. You don't have to have anything really other than passion and a commitment to stay with us for 3 months and to put in the work, because we are going to be giving you projects to do. So you basically also have to work on some of those projects. But yeah, you'll get the skills and you'll learn a lot along the way. So yeah, thanks for your time. Hey, Tosin.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for having us. Good to have you again. As Miriam said, you can reach out to her via the website and or the mail. There'll be we'll have all of those details in the description. So feel free to reach out, and of course we would definitely be in touch soon. So thanks for having us, everyone, and we'll speak to you soon. Miriam, bye.
Okay,
Speak to you
thank
soon.
you. All
Bye.
right, bye.
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 Bye.